Joining us this evening. I'm out in London, but my audience is actually international. So it's always going to be great for them to know where you guys are from, and because we always like to start from the sort of the very beginning and sort of work our way through. If you introduce yourselves and where you're from, so I can let the audience get to know you guys.
Hey, well, I'll start off. I mean, this is Mike and Slim. We're both from Atlanta, GA. We've been in the music industries for 25 years. We've been Grammy Award winning, multi-platinum R&B artists, that's brought you hits like It's Over Now, Peaches and Cream, Only You, Anywhere, Cupid, and the list goes on and on.
Yeah. It's I had your debut album 112, and that album and Brian McKnight's debut album are the only two albums that don't skip a track. You just play it and just let it play. I did a poll about 6 hours ago on my YouTube page, and I put your first 5 albums, and I asked everyone to vote what was their favorites, and 1,000 people voted within the last 5 hours. 63%. Guess which album they voted as number 1?
Let's go with 112.
Yeah. 63%. So this is about over 600 people. This is just within the 5 hours. Said that was their favorite album of all.
Nice.
So, but before we get to that album, because as I said, to me, it's as I said, it's the only album I don't skip a track. One of the things that my viewers are used to hearing is that, especially Black Americans, it's where you guys got your start singing wise, because I think from our show, many people sing, as kids, but very few get record deals and very few get to do 5, 6, 7, 8 albums. So if we can start, so the whole thing about Must Be the Music is, how did you break the mold to become where you started from? So it always goes back to your roots. So I mean, you can start with you, Mike. I mean, how did you get into singing?
Oh man, how did I get into singing? Actually, if you ask my mother and my grandmother, I actually started singing before I could even actually talk. Which is crazy. It's like I could sing anything, but then when they asked me to say words, I just couldn't do it. So I never made the correlation. But I started singing at a really early age. I want to say about 3, 4 years of age. They knew then that I was, gifted in song, and I, like most singers, I got on everybody's nerves just singing everything. Like if I go to like a McDonald's or something, I order a number 1, I was like, let me get a number 1. You know what I'm saying? Like I would just get on people's nerves, just singing all the time, man. So that's where my singing ability originated. And most people would think that listening to my voice or whatever, that you would think that I actually started from the church. The crazy thing is, I never really sung a lot of solos in church. I was actually more of a choir singer in church, whatever. So I did sing in church, but I never really sang leads. So I honestly don't know where all of this quote unquote soulfulness that my voice has came from, other than, the Most High, because I never really sang leads in church. You know what I mean? Like I was always in the choir. I just wanted to be part of something. I always wanted, the group dynamic was always important to me, not necessarily the solo thing. Because anybody could do solo. My thing was, how do you make this group sound incredible or whatever? So that was one of the main reasons why I wanted to formulate and be the founder of 112. So that was important to me.
Yeah. And Slim, what about you? I mean, where did you get your sort of singing spark? And
well, you know what, my singing did start in church. Right? I didn't have the traditional voice, so I couldn't really sing in I tried my best to join choirs and stuff like that, but my voice, because it's very distinctive, kind of stood out. So kind of had a lot of doors kind of shut in as far as like choirs and stuff like that, until I went to church, and I had to learn a lot of like solo joints. So I was always out in front. So thank goodness Mike felt that way, because look, it could have went either way on that He could have went. He could have did it. He definitely started 112, and I just feel, I feel blessed that, after me singing out there in the lunchroom and in high school, that he heard something special and he was just like, you know what, I think he could be a good contribution to the group. So thank goodness.
Yeah, and so I've interviewed a lot of from As Yet to Blackstreet and stuff, and that whole sense of a cut close forming groups. So when you go back to that, Mike, was the idea of forming 112, and I know the name wasn't 112 back then, but was it just to pass away time, or was there a sense of we're going to sing and try and get a record deal, or what was it? What was the thought?
No, the crazy thing was, man, we are historians of music. Like we are students of music. We are students of music theory. And for years in the beginning, man, we would sit and talk music theory all day long. Why an artist does what they do. Why did Sade sing the song the way that she did as opposed to singing it this way? Why did Jodeci sing, this chord as opposed to singing in this chord with that key? We were always in debate of, the why. We always were in search of the why. So when it came time to for 112 to, put this whole group together, it wasn't about passing the time, because, it really wasn't about pastime for us. For us, it was about, we wanted to be better than everybody else. That was our main goal. We wanted to sing better than everybody else. We knew at the time we had 4 lead singers. So yeah, we felt like, the best thing to do was to just out sing everybody. You know what I mean? So, to know, and not necessarily to know your enemy, but at the same time to know your adversary, or the people that your rivals, so to speak. You had to know them. You had to actually get in depth with who they are. What I'm saying? So you can know how to better exploit their situation. And then we looked at Boyz II Men and Jodeci. Boyz II Men, Jodeci, New Edition. We looked at those 3 groups as the trifecta, as far as the litmus test of what we needed to do in order to be considered one of the greats. You know what I mean? So we looked at Jodeci and we were like, okay, they're good at this, but this is where they lack. And then Boyz II Men, okay, they're great at this, but this is where they lack. New Edition, this is where they're good at, but in our opinion, this is where they lack. And we tried to form our group based on what they were lacking, so the world could see, okay, in addition to these guys, all of us being able to sing lead, they also didn't have any flaws. They also didn't have any weaknesses, so to speak. And that was, the mindset for us, man. We wanted to be best. We wanted to be the best R&B group that ever existed. That was the goal, and that's what we set out to do. When putting this group together. So no, it wasn't it wasn't a pastime at all. We coming out here to bust ass, man.
I mean, Slim, think about it. I mean, Atlanta, where you guys are from now, is a hotbed. But I used to live in Selma, Alabama, back in the '90s. So Atlanta was, they hadn't had, but by 1960 they hadn't hosted the Olympics. So you don't go to Atlanta to get a record deal. When you guys were forming the group back then, did you then think, man, we're in the wrong system, we need to move to New York or LA, or what was the thoughts?
Oh man, we had those type of conversations. We were very young at the time, and we had so many hurdles. We felt like starting off, even in the inner city that we were staying. As you just said, Atlanta at the time was not known for getting record deals as it was in New York or LA. Yeah. But you know what? When we first started, there were a couple of avenues, and So Def was one.
Okay, Crisscross, yeah, I remember.
Yeah, LaFace was one, and then you had Dallas Austin. Now, thank goodness, because we had people that were cool and with them or whatever, that we were blessed to be able to go up to Dallas Austin studio and hone our skills even more. And because, being frank, we thought we were about to be signed with Dallas Austin. We thought that was going to be our avenue. And it was just, it was just a blessing that, how things happen. And Puff actually hearing the demo that we had done working with Tim and Bob, because originally we were Tim and Bob's group. And from there, it's like history. Puff saw in us that, hey, I can see them, you know, definitely building this era, bad boy era. So, and then we end up having to move to New York. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
So that situation, you know, I think 112, you know, because of how we were put together and our mindset, what Mike was just talking about, you know, we're students of the game. So we kind of like talked about the whys, you know what I mean? And like, why this, why? So when it was our turn, we didn't care if we had to move to Zimbabwe, Africa. we would do whatever we had to be the best group, you know what I'm saying, of our era.
You know what, you said, you know, you dropped two things here. You mentioned Dallas Austin. So for those who might not know Dallas Austin, he was the architect behind TLC. He
Monica
was Monica, Monica. So he had Rowdy Records. So he was he did some amazing stuff on Michael Jackson, Madonna. So he was, you know, he was just on fire. But you also mentioned Tim and Bob, you know, Bobby Valentino. I mean, those were probably two of the most underrated producers that there's out there. They're very quiet. And I think I remember Tim and Bob had interviewed somebody, and they said that they brought the Neptunes to Dallas, and Dallas came in and said, yeah, I wasn't feeling it, and he goes off. So when you guys were with, did you meet Tim and Bob first, or did and they were working with you guys, or you met Dallas? What was and how did that connection happen?
Yeah, we met Tim and Bob first. You know, the goal was, well, how it's crazy because how we met our managers was the reason why we met Tim and Bob. Our manager at the time was doing some scouting for Tim and Bob. His name was Courtney Seals. He was actually doing scouting for artists in Atlanta for Tim and Bob. And he found us, introduced us to Tim and Bob. From that point, we were supposed to be signed to Tim and Bob, but at the time they were working on Boyz II Men's second album. And yeah, so they didn't really, you know, although they wanted to work with us and they wanted to groom us and but they also had Boyz II Men, who was already an established Grammy award-winning multi-platinum group that they had to work on their second album. So we totally understood that. However, we weren't going to wait. You know what I mean? And Puffy basically came in with the mindset of, hey, look, they're going to sign y'all a year from now. I want to sign y'all right now. And so when you look at it versus, you know, a year from now versus right now, you know, we were ready to go ahead and be signed. Our intent was to be signed to Tim and Bob through Rowdy Records. You know, I mean, that was the goal. We wanted to be signed. We had our loyalty towards Tim and Bob. We knew Tim and Bob. We knew that they were going to create these incredible records that they eventually did on our on many of our records. And so we felt the most comfortable when we felt like we had a kinship with them. They knew Commission like we knew Commission. They knew Take Six like we knew Take Six. They knew all of the artists that we akin ourselves to. They already knew them, so we knew that we had an affinity with these guys, whatever. However, they were working on other things. And Dallas Austin, he was going to sign us for the purpose of just signing us, just so nobody else would have us, you know, pretty much. Yeah. And we actually had a conversation with Dallas like years ago, years later after we had gotten signed and sold millions of records, and I think we won a Grammy. But he actually pulled us to the side and apologized to us. He was like, "Man, listen, I wish I would have listened and signed you guys as opposed to, you know, letting you guys go." And then because they had groomed us, Dallas Austin, Rowdy Records, Tim and Bob had actually groomed us. You know, before there was a Bobby V, before there was a Monica, before that was a Boyz II Men record, before there was a Tamia record, before there was Cisco the Thong Song, before it was all of those records, that was 112. You know what I mean? And we was working with these guys back in 1994. You know what I mean? So that's you know, the oldest record we have on our album is called Now That We're Done, and that was produced by Tim and Bob, written by Wanye of Boyz II Men, but it was produced by Tim and Bob. That's the oldest record that we have on our, you know, the oldest song that we've ever recorded. You know what I mean? So that just, you know, that just shows you the years that we have with these guys. And they understood more than anybody else what 112 needed as far as the sound was concerned. And we emulated a lot of what they taught us. A lot of our sound comes from the teachings of Tim and Bob. So yeah, I would definitely say that, you know, Tim and Bob was, you know, was very instrumental in the 112 sound. Commission, Take Six, Tim and Bob were very instrumental in the 112 sound.
You know, And you know what is amazing, as I said, I interviewed As Yet, and everybody talks very highly about Commission and Tate Six, and I guess because especially Tate Six, Brian McKnight's older brother was in it. I think people forget because they weren't as commercial as every other group, but they seem to really. I mean, they were really good. First without instrumentals and stuff. What is it about them that you really? Because I wouldn't surprise you weren't saying, "Oh yeah, we wanted to be like Jodeci and stuff," but you went to people that other people like the big Boys to Men and stuff were influenced by. What led you to take the Commission and Take Six?
Well, it was probably the us studying the formation of real groups. What is the definition of a group? So, in groups, you're thinking we, us, and ours. So you have to work together toward, as a group. And 112, we definitely strive as for like harmonies. Yeah. Harmonies were the backgrounds were just as important as the lead vocals. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, when you look at the groups such as, Take Six and Commission, yes, they had the blueprint of what we were striving to do, but we wanted to do it in the R&B genre. So it was just an amazing situation, and it was just it's just amazing.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, but most importantly to press the notification bell so that you can be notified when we do have a new interview. Loads to come, but thanks a lot for watching.